I want to be somebody. I want to be somebody so bad it just eats me up inside. It's in my heart. It's in my mind. It's in my spirit. It's in my blood. It's in my bones. I want to be somebody so bad I can't sleep at night. I want to be somebody so bad it borders on being an obsession. 13 little words that caused us to build an iconic company. I want to be somebody. When somebody said that, it was important to all those early A.L.Williams people. It ignited in us a fire in our belly. Everybody thought we were a bunch of nobodies that came to town on the back of a turnip truck. Everybody thought we'd be out of business in 90 days. But I want to be somebody. I want to be somebody. Hit a nerve with all the A.L.Williams people. I want to be somebody. Gave us courage to change, to find a new purpose in our life, to find a new path in our life. I want to be somebody was more than just 5 words to all of us at A.L.Williams. I want to be somebody was a call to arms. I want to be somebody was telling everyone, I'm sick and tired of being sick and tired. I want to be somebody was our Super Bowl. It was our World Series. It was our Olympics all rolled into one. It was our everything. We built A.L.Williams for people that wanted to be somebody. Being somebody was the backbone of A.L.Williams. When business was down, when money was low, when the regulators were on attack, when I even doubted myself if we could survive, I wanted to be somebody gave us that little extra ounce of courage that kept us going for one more day, one more week, one more year. It gave us the backbone, the reason, the purpose, the courage to build an empire. Think about this. Bill Arenda was offered my job at Waddell & Reed when we decided to build A.L.Williams. They flew a plane full of people down here with tons of money, and they were offering money to all of our people and whatever, and they offered Bill Arenda my job, a vice president's job at Waddell & Reed, covering 6 southeastern states. I had 650 people licensed in insurance and securities. They were offering Bill $120,000 a year with all his expenses paid. And I couldn't even offer Bill Arenda an RVP position. I offered Bill a division leader position. And let me quote Bill Arenda. Bill said, people come here for all the things they can do, but they stay here for all the things they can be. But being somebody is the biggest reason they came and stayed. Bill Arenda gave up that money, that security, that organization to come to A.L.Williams and start over. Being somebody has nothing to do with how much money you make. It has nothing to do with what your financial statement looks like. Being somebody has everything to do with how people look at you, how they admire you, your passion, your thoughts, your honesty, your example. If you want to be somebody, you got to find a way to help people feel important, to help people feel special. Being somebody's making a difference with your life. It's investing in people. You see, people are important. Things have no lasting value. Things are used to encourage people, to build people up. Bo Adams wanted to be somebody, and Bo came to me one day and he said, Art, we got to create a new position in A.L.Williams to keep this thing moving and exploding. He gave up half of his income to create an NSD position. And we found some more money and we started an NSD position and we gave the NSDs a $20,000 cash bonus a month, $240,000 a year, and A.L.Williams burst forward like a rocket ship. John Roy wanted to be somebody. He immigrated with his immediate family to the United States from Cuba, but most of his family was left behind. But John sends money every month to his family back in Cuba. That's being somebody. Mike Tuttle wanted to be somebody. He was the first A.L.Williams person in Texas, from Dallas, Texas. He had no office, no business cards, no brochures, no nothing. But he had a home. And Mike recruited over 2,400 people that first year. And he brought them to his house. and they got to meet Stephanie and the kids, and his family got to meet them, and they built a bond. They built a relationship that gave Mike a chance to build an empire. Randall and Mary Walker, our 8th RVP, is quite a story. Randall was a farmer and Mary was a school teacher, and Randall had a fear of flying, so they bought a bus. And they built a business out of that bus, 35 states and all of Canada. When Randall died a few years ago, he was making $1 million a year, one of our great leaders. Mary took over his business and has increased her income to $2.1 million a year. That's being somebody. Being somebody is being so emotionally involved with your people that it's just incredible. You know, it's more than, this A.L.Williams thing was more than just making more money. It's more than just making a business. I wrote my master's degree at Auburn University on that. My thesis was the motivation of a high school athlete. And I took as an analogy an English teacher friend of mine that we would meet in the meeting room, you know, and lunchroom and that kind of thing. And she said one day to me, she said, Art, I just don't understand how you get so much out of those kids. Why these kids would volunteer to go down to that locker room, put on that old dirty, heavy uniform, and go out there and spend 2 or 3 hours practicing, or after the season when there's no fans in the stands, you know, no names in the newspaper, they'd go down to that gym after school and they lift those weights and they run that track, you know, and I can't get kids to spend 15 minutes doing their homework in English. And my conclusion after thinking about it, and wrote my whole paper on this, was a typical English teacher teaches English. She sits back on her butt in her desk, and she just teaches English for 45, 50 minutes, you know, no emotion, you know. And you take a typical football coach, he gets involved with the players. I dressed out. I pumped weights with them. I ran with them. When we got beat, I cried with them. When we won, I celebrated with them. And the typical English teacher just sat back. And I said, maybe if you've got an English teacher that jumps up on top of her desk like a coach and throws a piece of chalk and a razor and gets emotionally involved with the kids, then that's why the kids would get excited about English. Always remember, folks, things are temporary, people are forever. The most important people is your family. Do they know you love them? When's the last time you told them you were proud of them? Do they know they can count on you? Are you somebody important to them? The next most important group of people is your team and your friends. Do they know you care about them? Do they know you're proud of them? Do you love them and do you show them? Are you somebody important to your friends and your team? Being somebody is being an example. It's being a doer, not just a thinker, not a talker. I own this inn and spa in North Carolina called Old Edwards Inn and Spa in Highlands, North Carolina. And I wanted all of our employees to feel like a family, to feel important, just like we did at A.L.Williams. When we started Old Edwards, we had 13 rooms with 3 employees and no restaurant. Now we have 200 rooms, 500 employees, 5 restaurants, and 2 golf courses. And in 10 years, this is some of the recognition we've received. The #1 spa in North Carolina, the #1 resort hotel in North Carolina, the #1 resort hotel in the South, the #9 top hotel in the United States, the #26 top hotel in the world. See, we built our inn and spa like A.L.Williams. Let me give you 4 examples. #1, I handwrite a personal letter every day. Handwrite, not an email. I handwrite a personal letter every day just to tell one of our great employees I love them, I appreciate them, I believe in them. #2, I instructed all of our 500 employees to call me Art or Coach, not Mr. Williams. I told them, you're the most important people in this company, not me. #3, I don't want to see any of my people, my teammates, shaking hands. You know, I learned in coaching, if you got a teammate, you don't pass them in the hall and shake the darn hand. You give them a fist pump or you give them a hug. I said, every time you meet one of the teammates at Old Edwards, I want you to give them a hug. Number 4, I wanted to create an environment where we were a family, where we were friends. And every week, one day every week, I take a cookie or a piece of candy to every leader at Old Edwards, and I hand it to them, and I give them a hug and tell them I love them, I believe in them. Where did I get those kind of feelings? I had a mother that had 3 boys, and she was constantly telling us we were special, that she was proud of us. I had a coach, Coach Taylor, who was my only hero in my life. In every way, I was just a little bit better than average. I was just a little bit better than average player, a little bit better than average student. But Coach Taylor saw something in me that I didn't even know I had. Coach Taylor made me feel special. He made me feel like I would do something important with my life, that I was different, that I was special, that I would make a difference with my life. And you know what? I found out one thing about life. Nobody has ever accomplished anything significant on their own. They had somebody like Coach Taylor who cared about them, who saw something special in them, who believed in them. I wanted to be that somebody. I wanted to always be there in the toughest times, to encourage them, to fight with them, to push them forward, to never give up on them. I wanted to be that someone that was willing to invest time one-on-one, building relationships, building friendships that would last a lifetime. All I ever wanted to do with my life as a young kid was be a football coach like Coach Taylor. I love setting big goals. I love setting a big vision with my players. I loved encouraging my players, motivating my players, pushing my players, seeing them play at a higher level, grow in their confidence, grow in their toughness, and become winners. My first head coaching job was at a school that hadn't had a winning season in 20 years. In the last 2 years, they had won 1 game. So when I went into that town, in that school, I spoke at all the clubs around town, and I said, let me tell you something. This is a new day, and this is a new team, and we're going to win. I promise you that. And I had 75 kids come out for spring practice. 1 week later, we were down to 18 or 19. I'd lost my first 2 quarterbacks. For the spring game, which I only did this one time, we played those last year's sorry seniors. I'm not sorry in terms of people, you know what I'm talking about, but in terms of record. And they won 1 game. They had no coach. They hadn't practiced. I had my kids out there practicing for 4 weeks. They came in on Thursday before we played on Friday night. I issued them a uniform. You know, they would sit around and draw a few plays in the dirt, you know, that kind of thing. And Friday night came, and all the town came out. The stadium was full. They wanted to come out and see the new coach, you know, that was going to make them winners. And I sat out there, and that sorry group of seniors that had won 1 game beat us. And I sat out there on the 50-yard line with my arms folded, and that was the lowest point, I think, in my life. And I went home that weekend, and I cried and pouted and felt sorry for myself. And sometime Sunday afternoon late, I looked in the mirror, and I didn't like A.L.Williams. And I said, Art, shame on you. Shame on you. You look at these players as losers. You look at what they can't do. Shame on you. I know you started with 75 and you're down to 18 or 19 now, but those 18 or 19 gave you everything they had, and they believed that they were going to win. And they believed that they believed their coach was going to help them win. And you look at them as a loser. You see what they can't do. Shame on you. Shame on you. That moment, I learned one of the greatest lessons I ever learned in my life. I was looking at my players and seeing what they didn't have. Yes, they weren't the most talented. They weren't the greatest athlete, not like I'd coached before, but they were my players. They believed in me. They believed in what I told them. But I began to look at them differently. I began to look at them, and I began to see something good in every one of their players. I began to see something good. And that changed my life. And all that ragtag team did was give me the greatest coaching thrill of my life. On that same field where those sorry seniors had beaten us, we were playing the number one team in the state the next year, Waycross, Georgia, and we beat them. We upset the number one team in the state, and my life lesson became, if you're on the A.L.Williams team, anybody that came to A.L.Williams, I was going to look at them like they got a flashing light on their chest that says, make me feel special, make me feel important. I believe in you. Being somebody is pushing up people. It's always looking for a reason to promote, to keep them coming and going. Being somebody is you must develop good people skills. You must be a master motivator. Always remember, the most powerful form of motivation is praise and recognition. Mary Kay said it best. The only thing more powerful than money and sex is praise and recognition. In the early days in A.L.Williams, we didn't have any money, and we became famous, though, for T-shirts. That was our recognition. And I would go out and buy a $2.50 T-shirt and put on the front of it, I am a stud, I am somebody, play like a champion. And folks, I've seen big RVPs making $200,000, $300,000 a year at a convention not get one of those T-shirts, and he would go back to his room, and he couldn't go to sleep, and he beat his head against the wall, and he cried because he didn't get one of those $2.50 T-shirts. See, that wasn't a $2.50 T-shirt to those people. That was their life. That was their life. That's what they stood for. The difference in being somebody and being a nobody is people that are somebody have a special kind of belief in themselves. They have a change the world kind of desire and determination. Their attitude is bring it on. The tougher the better. They understand that life don't give you what you want or what you'd love to have. See, life will give you what you'll accept. If you'll accept being average and ordinary, that's exactly what you'll get. But they expect to win. They demand for themselves success and happiness and fulfillment. They always have a can-do attitude. Somebody's really believe in their heart that they're supposed to be somebody. A somebody would be the most surprised person in the world if they wound up a nobody. See, I believe every piece of flesh that's ever been born, at somebody in some time in their life, they were dreamers. They felt special. They felt important. They felt deep inside that they were supposed to be somebody. I coached for 7 years in high school in Georgia, and I believe the high school years for most people are their peak years to dream and be excited about life. They come in the 9th grade and their eyes are big as a baseball. They begin dating. They begin driving. They're playing before hundreds of thousands of people. They're on a debate team. They're in a beauty contest. They feel like life is a bowl of cherries, that they were put here on this earth to make a difference. Then they graduate. They get married. They have a few kids. They change jobs a few times. And then they roll out of bed one morning and their foot hits the floor and they're a different person. They've developed an attitude that life's passed me by, that I can't do it. I can't be somebody. Being somebody is having a purpose, is having a passion to help hurting people and to help lost people. Always remember that every person we touch matters. Those original people risk it all. The first 2 years, folks, this is true. You had to be there to believe it, but this is true. The first 2 years of A.L.Williams, every person I recruited, every person I talked to, every meeting I spoke at, I said, I want you to understand if you're coming to A.L.Williams, the odds are like this, just like this, of us surviving. I'm not talking about beating Prudential. I'm not talking about changing the industry. I'm not talking about you becoming financially independent. I mean, the odds are like this of us surviving. But I got a feeling. I got to tell you inside, I got a feeling. This is it. This is going to be big. We're going to do something incredible. Those early pioneers, all they wanted was a chance to be somebody. All they wanted was a chance, just a chance. They knew it was impossible. And A.L.Williams gave us that chance. A.L.Williams promised us freedom. Freedom to build your own company within a company. with no limits. A.L.Williams promised us ownership, where you could own your own business, your opportunity to build a legacy business that would change your family for generations. Folks, nobody in financial services has that. But let me give you a warning. If you want to be somebody, if you want to do something important, you'll be controversial. The only way not to be controversial is don't do nothing, don't say nothing, or don't have nothing. See, being somebody is a heart thing. Heart power gives you that little extra ounce of courage it takes to fight through the tough times and do impossible things. At A.L.Williams, our battle cry was correcting injustice. Our mission was to destroy trash value. Always remember, folks, money and success always follows the heart. Think about this. This is unbelievable. In 1988, there were 2,000 life insurance companies. In the top 24 were A.L.Williams teams. Ain't that something? That's unbelievable. Bob Buson's team was number 5. He did $26.7 billion, and number 6 Prudential did $26.5 million. Bob Buson's team beat Prudential all by themselves. A.L.Williams in 1988 did $81 billion. We beat the number 1 team, New York Life, who did $40 billion, and number 3 Northwestern Mutual, $30 billion combined. We beat the number 2 and number 3 people combined. We didn't just beat them. We wanted to put our foot on their neck and stomp on them. Being somebody to me is right before they click your light out. You look in the mirror and say, I'm proud of what I did. Was I perfect? No. Did I have any regrets? You bet. But I did it. I did it. I made a difference with my life. Being somebody is being able to look the world in the eye and say, call me anything but average and ordinary. You can be a dud or you can be a stud, and I ain't nothing but a double stud. Being somebody is when you look in the mirror and say, I was all right. I fought a good fight. I did something I didn't think I could do. Being somebody is when your husband and your wife look at you and you just know, you can see it in their eyes, that they're proud to have you. Being somebody is when your grandbabies look at you and say, I love my papa so much. There were so many times I look back at my life and I didn't like A.L.Williams. So many times I look back and I was tired of having regrets. I was so tired of never totally going for it, of never totally laying it all on the line. And one day I made up my mind that I didn't know if I was good enough. And nobody ever does, folks. Nobody ever does. No, for sure. 100% for sure. But this time, I was going to give it my best shot. I was going to burn all my bridges. I was going to have no plan B. A.L.Williams was it for me. And if that wasn't good enough, at least I could look in the mirror and say I tried. I could say I gave it my best shot. And you know what? I'm so glad I tried. If you've never been what you wanted to be, if you've never been somebody you're proud of, go lay it all on the line one time with no plan B, no backup plan. Burn all your bridges and see the miracles that will happen in your life. Being somebody is when you seize the moment. My favorite all-time quote is from Winston Churchill, and he said, there comes a special moment in everyone's life, a moment for which that person was born. That special opportunity, when he seizes it, will fulfill his mission, a mission for which he is uniquely qualified. In that moment, he finds greatness. It is his finest hour. Who's going to fill their shoes? Those early pioneers brought down the biggest industry in America. Those early pioneers built businesses that were just mind-boggling, that changed their family for generations. Who's going to fill their shoes? Those early pioneers were somebody to admire. They were our heroes. Who's going to fill their shoes? Those early pioneers proved if you cared enough, if you wanted it bad enough, you could change the world. I wanted to be somebody, gave those early pioneers the want to, the belief in themselves, to bring down the largest and most powerful and most evil industry in 13 short years. I want to be somebody with A.L. Williams.